this week's kind of fun because we're getting this topic idea from a viewer.
Yes.
They on YouTube, I think, right?
Yes.
They wanted to know how we first got involved in scrapbooking
and doing it kind of as a career choice.
As a career choice, yeah. And I think we all had different starts. So this is going to be really interesting because I don't exactly know how Johanna got started. I know Donna's story, which I think you'll find really fun. So who should we start with first?
You're in the middle. Yeah.
Me? Okay, mine's not as exciting. Okay, here's how I got started. I was part of a greeting card swap, where 16 gals make cards and stuff like that and exchange them. Becky Higgins had just come out with the very first greeting card book, and people were so excited about it because it was different than just scrapbooking pages. So we decided to do this card swap, and we thought it would be fun to send her a package of all of our cards. So I emailed her a package. I emailed.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Wouldn't that be nice?
She transmortified it.
I stuck a bunch into a big envelope, sent it to CK, and never thought I would hear anything back. But about a month or two later, I got an email from Becky Higgins saying that she wanted to publish 2 of the cards I made. And I was like, wow, that's fantastic. And then as we were emailing back and forth the supplies list and stuff like that, she said, well, do you scrapbook? Have you thought about submitting pages to the magazine? And I was like, well, I never really thought about that. So I started giving it a try. And once you start doing it, you kind of really get into it. And that's basically how I got involved in publishing. So creating keepsakes is really how I got started. Some of the first idea books I made were with Leisure Arts. I think we've all done work with Leisure Arts.
Yes.
Have you done Leisure Arts work?
Yeah, I've done Leisure Arts.
So did work with Leisure Arts. Then I started to get really into it. I started doing work with a magazine that doesn't even exist anymore, Paper Cuts magazine. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, you're on the PK Power team.
I got on the team, and about the end of that term, I started to get involved with Better Homes and Gardens, and I was also working with creating keepsakes. Here's my first cover.
Oh, you did that?
Yeah, that was my cover.
Oh,
you didn't know that?
Well, no, you typically
look
your
for
family.
Yeah, I bleached my hair and bleached myself.
No, I remember this cover, and I used to think, that is so clever. She took a little piece of newspaper. And every time I see your work, I was like, she's a homegirl like me because we live close together.
Did you really?
Yeah. It was like,
you live in the same town.
In
any case, and then of course the CK Hall of Fame.
She passes it on. And then of course, CK Hall of Fame. And Miss Leah Fun. BHG.
Okay, that's enough.
We did the BHG.
Yeah, and I started getting involved with the Scrapbooks Etc. group, and they were so nice, and they were so down to earth and creative and easy to work with. So when they asked me to join on with them, I was so excited. It was so much fun. But that's how I got involved in scrapbooking. I just started with a greeting card swap and no other intentions of just sharing. And that's how it happened.
That's so cool.
Okay, how about you, Joe?
That was brief considering how long your resume is. I was a closet scrapper, and I never left my house to scrapbook. And a little scrapbook store opened up in Alpine. And I went in there. It was like one of the first scrapbook stores around. And I was just like,
I remember the first scrapbook store I went into. I'm like, oh my gosh, all scrapbooking stuff.
And I talked to them, and and we were just talking about scrapbooking, and I said, and I guess other people would put pages together in like half an hour, and I said, oh, it takes me like 2 days to put a page together. And she's like, what? And she said, well, bring in your book sometime. So I brought my book in, and I would like hand tear little pumpkins and do all this hand, anyway. And she said, will you start teaching classes? So
it started with the teaching.
Yeah, and then I started teaching classes, and then people were like, oh, you should submit this, it's really good. And so I started submitting, and I submitted for like 2 years. Nothing. And I was on the phone with my neighbor saying, that's it? It's like starting to tear me down, like the rejection.
Aww. It's tough. We'll give some tips about submitting later, but I know that feeling. It's heartbreaking.
And I would try and nothing. And it started to take the joy out of scrapbooking as weird. And then I started thinking, well, why am I doing this? To get to get published or because I like scrapbooking.
Right,
It was
right.
kind of getting me all weirded out. And so I told her, I said, I'm never going to submit anything else. And then I got a call waiting. I'm like, hold on. And I clicked over, and it was Memory Makers. And she said, hi, we'd like to publish 2 of your layouts. And I'm like, oh! It was so funny. I was on the phone with my neighbor going, I'm never submitting again. And there it was. And then like a week later, they called me for another layout, and it started
But
rolling.
people, I don't think they realize how long it takes.
It takes a long
Yeah, you need
time.
to submit and then just like forget about it.
Completely forget about it. That's my number one tip for people who want to get published. Submit it and forget about it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we don't get around to even looking at your pages for months because, for example, we work 6 months in advance, pretty much. So sometimes we get pages for the summer, like right about now, but really we're working on Halloween. So we won't be looking at your summer pages
For 6 months.
for at least 6 months.
So
So forget about it. Just submit it and forget about it.
But I will give you to insert pictures of my first layouts that were
Yeah, I'd love to do
done, and then this was my first cover layout. And this is a funny story. A friend of mine called me and she goes, "Oh, you didn't tell me you were on the cover." I'm like, "What?" And
And you didn't know.
they had asked for this layout. Pinecone Press asked for this layout, but I didn't know they were using it for the cover. And she got it the day it got shipped to the store, so I hadn't seen my copy yet. And she likes to keep it a surprise, like, like a big, woo, And I'm like, the cover? What do you mean? Are you sure? And she goes, yeah, it's like your daughter in the pool, and it's upside down. So this is my first cover, and I've had like 3 covers, and all of mine have my kids on it,
Right.
And I got on the cover of what, I can't even remember.
Leisure Art?
No, I think it was Scrapbooking and Beyond.
Okay, yeah.
Scrapbooking and Beyond, my daughter got on the cover, and we went to Barnes & Noble to buy a few copies, and Davey goes up to the register like this. Because her little face, And then the girl goes, "Is that you?" And she was so tickled. But anyway, so that's how I started, and then it went to Scrapbook Lifestyle, and that's how I met Donna, and
Right.
that's how I finally met you, because
Right.
even though we live so close, I didn't know.
Right, and you actually, we didn't know each other, but I was walking in to try out for
Yes.
Scrapbook Lifestyle while you were walking out. Right?
Yes. When I was walking in, Stephanie Bernard was walking out, and she had Scrapbooking with Stephanie and all this stuff.
Yeah, a lot
And
of
when
videos.
I was walking out, you were waiting in the lobby, and so I called my friend. I said, "I'm toast. There's no way Stephanie Bernard was in before me, and Leah Fung's after me, so forget it."
And you got a call to
I
join
got a
the
call.
team,
So that's it. So, but I would say for being published, make the layout for you. Do what makes you
Right.
happy. If
Right.
it gets published, it's frosting on the cake.
Right, absolutely.
And we all like frosting.
Well, I love frosting. Frosting's my favorite part of the cake.